Hi everybody, this is Grandad Jack and I'm back with an interesting episode on how to build a HO scale model railroad diorama. I have a number of different interesting techniques I use for building this diorama, and I'd like to show you how I do that. This diorama measures 1.5 meters by 1/2 meter and is built on a light timber frame type construction. To begin this diorama, I use a 2x1 open grid framework with 2 braces to give it rigidity. I then cut out some MDF board, which is already pre-coated white, to put on the ends and at the back of the framework. I also glue and nail a piece of wood at the rear to support this. I use 1/2-inch plywood to support the track, and I've also used it for the side industry that has a siding that goes down to the industry, and that's a little lower to give it a different view and to make it a little bit more interesting to look at, in that it's lower than the mainline track. To achieve this, I've just cut the plywood up the centre with a jigsaw and pushed the plywood down just to screw it on top of the other ply. I've tacked the flex track straight down onto the plywood in this case, as it's just like a branch line scene, and so I haven't used cork roadbed to build it up in this case. I use polystyrene sheeting for this to build up a base for the scenery. It's easy to cut, it's lightweight, easy to work with, and makes a great base for your scenery. You can also use styrofoam, which is a brand name, and that's an insulation product as well and works just as good. I glue the foam using an acrylic wood filler type product like No More Gaps, or you can use a PVA wood glue, works good. Here I've used rock castings made with plaster to give some good texture to the diorama and add some nice rock wall type effects. I blend the rock castings in with the polystyrene using the No More Gaps. I find this easier to use than trying to blend the foam in using plaster. The plaster rock molds give the scene a real interesting and realistic look. They are easy to use and readily available, and they just look great. Just on the flex track, I actually like to spray paint the track like a grey colour, and I just use a spray paint like Humbrol acrylic paint for this. It also gets rid of the brown plastic type cross tie look of the flex track. I then like to paint the sides of the rail a rusty colour to give it contrast and realism. I use a weed mat to cover areas where I want some greenery. I get this from Train World in Brighton in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. They sell it in 2 sizes. I just glue it down with PVA glue or a similar type product. The weed mat looks really good, it's realistic, has clumps of grass, and it's really easy to apply. Just cut it around the rocks. I use pins or nails to hold it in place while it glues, and it's called Glen Scenery Products at Train World in Melbourne. Great stuff it is. So to colour the rock castings, I use a black acrylic wash, just black acrylic paint, which I just dilute with water. I brush this on and then wipe it off with a rag, and then I just highlight it with some brown spray paint. For ballast, I just use a fine gravel mix, which is great for this type of scenery work. I use a lighter sand type colour for the sides of the hill and other parts of the scene to give a contrasting look to the whole thing. This building is just a plastic type kit that I've put together and weathered it up to make it a bit more old and interesting. Textures and colours play an important role in a diorama like this to make it look realistic. I've enjoyed making this diorama, it's a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed having a look at one of the dioramas I've built. I've built lots of them, including window display layouts for Train World in Melbourne, and I'll be putting that up shortly as to how I built that. So this is Grandad Jack signing off, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.